Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are. Another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies.
Another episode again?
230, Peter. We've been at this a little while.
Man, you know, we're like a Timex watch. Take a beating and just keep on going.
Yeah, oh, Jesus, yeah. I've taken my beatings. We were just talking about that. You just rub it in, Peter.
Oh, I didn't mean that. I just mean over the last
joking.
14 years.
Yeah, just joking.
Years.
Episode number 230. The title is How a Razor Blade and an Axe Helps You Buy More Real Estate.
Okay. I saw some of the email the other day. I'm not saying a word. You go right ahead.
In this unusually named podcast, Bill and Pete, good morning, Desiree. In this unusually named podcast, Bill and Pete will unravel and get to the core of why so many have trouble doing their first deal or be inconsistent with income, so the old boss gets fired. And much like our government, who throws money at problems instead of going to where the problem is and observing how the problem originates, so do most creative investors do the same. And guess what? After listening to this episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies, you will soon see how you don't need a single cent to get the best education in real estate investing. To get a PhD, Peter.
Do you have
PhD?
PhD what does it stand for?
Professionally handled deals.
Wow.
Yeah. To get a PhD in the extremely lucrative business that has changed so many lives that I know of to date. And once again, I will put my money where my mouth is. Only because I sell and teach real estate investing materials along with coaching. So why would I try to convince you to not buy these materials? One, as I've stated many times in the past, I make a lion's share of my dough doing deals. Two, well, that's what this podcast will soon explain. So let's get started. Okay?
All right.
So, doing the housework first. Bathrooms on the left. Oh, that's when I'm in an event. We're not doing an event. So if
Bill,
you go,
hey Bill, what's an event?
Yeah, exactly. So if you go into the description of where you found this podcast or listening to this podcast, there's a link in there, and it has about 25 free different things like videos and documents and scripts and all kinds of stuff that will help you, especially if you're getting started. Even if you've been doing it for a while and you're really looking to do creative real estate, there's a lot of specific, there's rules in there, how to make offers in there. There's all kinds of stuff in there. There's a lot of stuff in that link. So click on that link and go visit the site. Also, if you are on one of the social media platforms when we record this, which is a Thursday morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we are live on. We live stream to Facebook and YouTube. So if you join us there, I have a big screen in front of me. As you hear me talk to people during the podcast, it's because they're sending me messages through YouTube and Facebook, so you could do the same. Or you could just go to Facebook or YouTube and you can actually watch the whole video if you don't want to listen to the podcast on a podcast platform. Emma takes the podcast, does her magic to it, puts some pixie dust on it, and then sends it over to the podcast platforms, and it comes out on Monday. So Mondays is when the podcasts are released. Okay. As far as the holidays go, Christmas, we are going to go through normal because Christmas is on a Friday this year and New Year's is on a Friday, so everything will be normal for us as far as I'm concerned, unless Peter tells me different, which he hasn't yet, and I think we can make arrangements. Most that can happen is we'll do it on a Wednesday instead of a Thursday, but you'll see us because you get to notice. Last thing
I'm okay.
is
I'm okay with it.
good.
I'm all right with all that.
Thank you. So last thing is that please send us a review. I have software now that scrapes all the reviewing platforms so I could see where the reviews are, whether they're good or bad. And that's our report card. I like to go in there and look at them and see what's going on. I mean, it was Peter had to talk me off the ledge a couple weeks ago when I started with the software because I think we have like 5 or 6 bad reviews, maybe 7. And Pete's like, Bill, we've got like 1,225,000 downloads. You're worried about 6 people that like said something bad about us, and that's just me. So he had to talk me off the ledge like that. And which, by the way, out of those 6 or 7 people, there were 3 or 4 of them that were complaining about our microphones way back in the beginning when we had no idea what we were doing. So, it's like, it's a joke to me because these people don't realize that I'm a real estate guy. I'm not a podcast guy, So for the first 20 or 30, Pete and I were in my office with a laptop computer, a Mac laptop computer, and all I did was just push the button, and whatever happened, and it was like horrible. Then Emmett came on the board and geeked us out and got us all straightened out. Now look at us. We stream on all the platforms, and we got all these fancy tools. And Emma's not even here anymore.
Yeah,
she's in the background.
I'm remote. I've learned how to do all these kind of crazy things.
Yeah.
Haven't we all?
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Oh.
All right, good. So let's get started with the podcast. So thank you for listening to us while we tell you where everything is. So just make sure you go like us, follow us, or give us a review wherever you're watching us or listening to us, okay? Because those are our report cards. That's what keeps us wanting to do this for 230 episodes. At least it does for me anyways. All right, so Peter, let's start off with the razor blade and the axe thing because I got to get that out of the way. Okay.
Yeah, I have both of those. So, am I using them wrong? Explain to me here, Bill. What the deal?
A razor blade is sharp, right?
Uh-huh.
But it can't cut down a tree, right?
Uh-uh.
An axe is sharp and sturdy, but can't cut a piece of hair, often a piece of paper. Make sense?
Crap! That's what I'm doing wrong. Okay.
So even though each tool is sharp, when out of its intended purpose, can't function properly. So knowing your tools and their functions in every aspect of your life will be how you excel.
Yep.
So one of the things that both of us realize, because we both teach, is, first of all, most people don't have patience. They want to stuff it all into one lesson or one course, or they feel like their time is more valuable than my time. Or I probably shouldn't say this because of the state of the country right now, but my saying has always been Donald Trump has the same amount of time as I do, the same 24 hours I do. How come he owns so much real estate and I don't? Right?
Yeah, just the real estate point. It's true though.
So it's like, what do you do with your time, right, is important. How we evaluate data or how we make decisions is important. But more importantly, we're going to talk about a couple of things today. The drum that I've been beating for, I don't know, some time now, it's been several weeks. I know I've been banging the crap out of it in my emails, is sequence. Right?
Yeah.
My coach the other day read some of my copy that I'm coming out with. I've been writing a lot lately. I probably, I don't know, I could be wrong, but I think I'm up to like 25 or 28,000 words a week now. I've been writing a lot lately. So I got a couple books that I'm writing that are not books. They're actual home study courses, but they're books. You know, so I got some cool shit coming out in 2021, and I'm trying to get ready for it. And the reason why I'm doing it, this is not part of my script. The reason why I'm doing it, Pete, I want to get the confession off now publicly, okay?
There's a reason of not what we were expecting.
Yeah, so people think I'm writing books because I want to sell these books, right? I'm not writing these books to sell them. I mean, I will sell them. But I'm doing my power condition formula. What I want to do is I want to put everything in writing, and I want these books to be like my legacy. Because for whatever reason, you know, I worry about myself because I get bored, you know, or I get tired of doing something and I'll just shut it off. Like one day that's going to happen. I've been thinking a lot about the podcast. Like, should I just shut it off? I mean, isn't enough at 230 episodes? Isn't that enough? And just shut it off.
Well, you know, more than a year ago, I remember you looking at other podcasts, different guys that have them, you know, and they're ranking here or there somewhere in the rankings, and they have like 14 podcasts.
Yeah.
So people listen to them and then move on, and someone else listens to them and move on. We got 230.
Or you got like Bigger Pockets, which has, you know, hundreds and hundreds of podcasts, but they don't do what we do. They interview people. Joe McCall, I think, has 300 podcasts. But they're 20 minutes or half an hour long, and they're interviews of somebody else, and often they sell stuff on there. Right now, of course, I always talk about my materials here, but it's not meant to sell. It's just because people send support tickets and will ask me, and I'm just trying to avoid it. In any event, I don't know why I'm off on that. So my point is that the more I write, the more simpler it gets. And the more simpler it gets in my mind to explain, the easier it is for people to follow along.
That's right.
And the more I recognize the simple things in life are they're right under your nose. And and they're done in a sequence. Everything's done in a sequence. Right? So good morning, John. And Desiree, the books that I'm talking about will not be sold on Amazon, but you will know about them when they're printed. All right. So knowing your tools and their functions is a very, very important aspect of your life, and will definitely lunge you into the future. So let me give you an example of this, Peter, okay?
Yeah.
A new student to creative real estate investing, pretty much the pretty house business, starts poking their head into the idea that houses can be turned into income relatively quickly and easily.
Right.
Okay. Not really sure how the whole thing works, decides to learn all about the numbers, or is believed that the offer needs to be known cold. How to make offers needs to be known cold, and how to structure deals. Right? Mostly because they, meaning the student, doesn't want to sound foolish when they're talking to a seller.
Yeah.
Laugh out
Right.
loud. That's a laugh out loud right there. That's a LOL.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
When in fact, that is like worrying about having a bar of soap, a washcloth, and towels in the linen closet before there's water or plumbing in the house. Cart before the horse mentality. What the new investor or investors that don't have consistent income should be concentrating on is finding a seller to talk to about maybe selling their house without having to give the seller top dollar within 30 days. Let me say that again. So the first thing that should be on your mind, which is the sequence, because the sequence is to find a seller, do an opening call, and the purpose of the opening call is to qualify if they're willing to take monthly payments until you pay them off or take a deep discount. Then go into a closing call, which is where you gather information, their ruin or their pain or their devastation or their motivation, whatever it is. What made them put this house on for sale now, right? I mean, that's a tripwire right there, Peter. That we could do a whole podcast just on that.
Oh, hell yeah.
What happened in this person's life that they decided to put this house up for sale today? What happened? And when you know that, just give it to them. Or not. But once you find that out, then you don't have to wallow around in all this other stuff. Right?
Well, you'd be missing the boat. Well, you'd be missing the boat. I mean, I don't think it's as easy as walking into a store and somebody goes, "May I help you?" He goes, "Yes, I need an 8.5 size of sneaker." It's not that easy because I think the people themselves half the time don't really know what they want. Am I right?
Yes.
Sometimes you have to help them.
Right.
But until you know that, how are you going to sell the guy the sneaker if you don't know he needs a sneaker? And you're throwing scarves at him, gloves, It's not, so it's almost obvious, but we're not used to it.
Right. So the sequence to start over again is you have to find the seller or find a seller to communicate with, right? And then you have to do some sort of an opening call. Right? Now, that could be texting. We use texting to do that, or Messenger on Facebook, right? But you're pretty much going to want to get them on the phone, and you're going to want to use the opening script, which you can find on that link in your description right now. That they're free stuff. There's a link there, and the script is there, right? The only purpose of that opening call is to find out if they're willing to take monthly payments until we can pay them off, or some sort of a deep discount. Deep meaning 20% or more, 15 or 20% or more. Okay?
Right.
That's it. Then you go into the closing call, and in the closing call, you're going to extract the reason why they're selling and see if you can match your solutions with their problem and help them solve it. Then from there, you go into the deal meeting. And the deal meeting is meant just to look at the house, evaluate the house, and do paperwork. Now, episode 229, which we did last week, explains all of that. So just go over there and check that out, and you'll be amazed at how simple and how enlightening that is. But that's the sequence, right? So why would if I'm on an opening call and the purpose of the opening call is to pre-qualify the seller, why would I try to give them an offer? They'll ask for it. The customer will ask for, what's your offer?
Yeah.
Well, why would I want to try to give them an offer on an opening call? And I have students do this all the time because they don't know any different.
Well, somebody asked.
Right.
And I think what I'm learning from this is that you need to control the conversation. That doesn't mean being a brat about it, but you have to control the conversation because the other person doesn't know the sequence. He doesn't know what should happen. So somehow, even though he asks the question, if it's not time, you just have to kind of keep going back into your thing. Be polite about it, but keep going. Am I right?
Yeah. So this is a bad example, and I'll probably get some crap for this, but it's the only one I can think of right now. So, and I'm not going to be political. I'm not picking a side. I mean, you guys, you notice I stopped talking about all that stuff because it's just there is no winning that argument anywhere. It's either you're a Trump fan or you're a Biden fan, and that's just the way it is. You're not going to convert, so stop trying to convert everybody into your party because this is not going to happen, right? We found out just recently that 74 million people voted for Trump. So we know there's at least 74 million people that like the guy or voted for him. So there you go. He's not going away. Okay, I'm not saying he's not going to be the president. I'm just saying he's a figurehead. He's in the history books. So there you go. In any event, if you look at the two campaigns, right, the Democratic Party tends to say whatever it is that the party the Democratic Party tends to say what their listeners or their voters want to hear. So they'll say anything they want just to get a vote. Where Trump won't do that. He'll just tell you what he thinks the truth is. Now, I'm not even saying it's the truth, but he'll just come out and say, here's how it is. Right? So one of the things that I noticed is that, at least with Trump, he draws a line in the dirt. You know where he stands. He goes after his purpose, right, wrong, or indifferent, like him or hate him. You know where he stands. He doesn't change his message. It doesn't veer. It doesn't anything. It's like, here is my message. Here is what I know. Here is what I'm going to do. With the Democratic Party, one week you turn it on and riots are good. Or the pandemic is bad. The president's not handling it. The pandemic is bad. Oh my God, it's horrible. And then all of a sudden, a week later, when they're in office, they're like, oh, the pandemic is not so bad and we're not going to do this. And they change their mind all the time because they're constantly trying to please their voters to get more votes. Okay? My opinion. I could be 100% wrong. So send your support tickets, and if I like them, I'll read them. If I don't, I'll delete them. Okay? So that's just how it goes. Okay? Here's my point. When you're in a house with a seller, you have to be kind of like Trump a little bit, and you have to know what you can do and what you can't do and know your parameters. And you can't keep changing your mind every time, trying to pretend like you're the seller's friend, and pretend like you're going to give them whatever they want when there's barriers. So one of the things that I do is I very quickly and very cleanly, as soon as I can, give the seller the barriers. Like, here are my parameters. What could we do within these parameters? And they do better with that. They want to know where you're making money from. So that's one of their parameters, because they want to know that.
Yeah. They won't trust you if you don't let them in on, well, if you do this and that, how are you going to make money? Oh, we make it like this. Oh, I see. If you don't tell them, they think you're making something up or scamming. So you got to tell them.
Right.
Why not?
Desiree, which I've not read this book, but Desiree said we should read the first pages of The Art of a Deal by Trump. So I'll have to go do that now.
You don't have it?
I don't. I might have it somewhere. I don't know. I have to look.
Well, let me know, because Santa Claus wants to know what's on your Christmas list. Because you were good some of the time this year, Bill.
Don't tell my wife.
Oh, no.
All right, so you get what I'm saying here. So I got way off track there. When in fact, when the student comes in, they're trying to satisfy what the customer wants. Now, even though I tell you find out what's needed and wanted and then make that offer, the point is there's parameters to your offer to satisfy what they want. Right? It's not a loosey-goosey, just let's float around on the ocean and hope we hit land. Okay? So, finding a seller to talk about maybe selling their house without having to give the seller top dollar within 30 days is a huge thing. Okay? So, get that. Finding a seller to talk about maybe selling their house without having to give that seller top dollar within 30 days.
Right, because that's the usual MLS, get the loan from the bank and give them all the money, which a lot of people want, but we're looking for something else.
Right. So what I'm saying right now is finding a seller to talk about maybe selling the house without having to give the seller top dollar within 30 days. No script. Just one person to another. All in the name of trying not to buy the house, but to learn how to do how things work. Right? I was in Home Depot yesterday. Again. Spent my $400 or $500, my daily amount. Okay.
For the house?
Yeah, well, some stuff. I had to buy some stuff for my house, whatever. My wife is The garbage disposal's not working, so.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I go into I ordered a gas grill. I don't know, it's 3 weeks ago. And they keep
Really?
telling me that it's there and it's ready, and we keep going to pick it up, and then they tell us it's not ready. So now I go there yesterday, and they're telling me that they sold it to somebody else. It took me 2.5. I ordered this thing, and it took me 2.5 weeks to get it, right? Because it's like there's a specific one that I want, and it's expensive. And anyways, my point, I don't even know until I keep diverting today. I'm there, and there's a girl and a kid working with another Home Depot person, and they're coaching them. And the girl tries to help me, and I said to her, I ordered a gas grill, and I'd like to find out if it's been built. And she looked at me like I had 16 heads. She had no idea what I was talking about. And she turned to the person that's training her, and that person took over. Okay? Now, no disrespect to that girl, and no disrespect to Home Depot, but what is she going to make? $12 an hour, maybe?
Yeah.
$13 an hour? $11 an hour? $15 an hour? Right? And she didn't know how to do her job. So, if you're going to start doing real estate investing, what makes you think that you're just going to start knowing how to do your job without any training? The difference is you can't go to Home Depot and have another person with a orange apron, a smock on, to help you. When you go into a house, you don't have that help. You don't have that assistance. There's no internship or indoctrination, just like Home Depot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So what I'm telling you to do is to go into the house. Don't try to buy it. Don't even try to pre-qualify it. Just find a seller. The very first step is find a seller and go talk to them. The very first step of the sequence. Understand the seller's thoughts, emotions, rationality, overall conversation they're having in their own head, their experiences, right? This is a huge part of investing. In the marketing world, I know guys, which I've told you in the past, I want to become a direct marketer in the end of my life. God knows why. When I want to retire at, whatever, 70, 80 years old, and I want to write sales letters and get sales from, sell books or whatever, jewelry. I get them for my coins all the time. And I'm a sucker for them because I buy them, right? Because I just want to see how the systems work, right? Any good marketer, any good marketing book, which I bought marketing books all the way from $10 to $1,000. I've got a bookshelf over there. I've got one that I'm looking at right now that I paid $400 or $500 from. It was written in the 40s. Okay?
That's crazy. You think something that old, that's not relevant anymore. But
no, it's
people
more relevant
are people,
now than it was then.
People are people, reasons, emotions, motivations. That's not going to change. I don't care what the medium is for communication. It's still people on the bottom of all that.
Every book, and you're right, Peter, every single book that I've ever read where they have any kind of knowledge of how to be successful comes back to this. The marketer themselves should go experience the sale of the product themselves before they try to write about it, do any copywriting about it or try to do any kind of advertising.
So you're saying the sale of the product, not just the product, but how it goes through the sale?
Right. And then get the product and actually use it. Right? So suppose I wanted to buy a coin. I wanted to buy a coin. Somebody hires me as a copywriter to write a sales letter about selling this coin.
Right.
So what I should do is I should go through their sales process as a customer and go through the process of buying that coin.
So you know what it's like from their perspective.
Yeah, because now you're going to be like, first of all, you're going to see how it flows, like how do you order it, but more importantly, how your mind's going to go through each question when you're going through the process. Like suppose the coin's a $500 coin,
Right.
right? You're going to go through the emotions and the decision making, and you're going to actually be a customer and experience it.
Mm-hmm. So questions are going to come up, concerns.
Right.
That if you can see that as a copywriter or somebody who's selling, you can predict what the person's going to worry about or what he might be concerned about.
Well, you put yourself in the seller's in the buyer's shoes, and you watch the seller work. It's like it's being on the other side of the desk.
Yep.
Or on the other side of the sale, right? I'm gonna prove to you how right I am right now, without, and I know I'm right because it's been written in so many books, but you haven't read the books.
Yeah.
I'm going to prove it to you right now. I'm going to throw it in your face right now. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Go for it.
Undercover Boss.
Oh, right. That's a great
National TV show that was on TV for years, and often, if you're any kind of a sensual human being, you end up crying in the end.
Yeah, you think, oh, it's a stupid show, but people do with the workers on that, their lives. It's amazing.
But take that apart of it. And I don't want to discredit that. The owner of the business thinks he understands his business until he's got to go through the steps of the lower echelons, like the truck driver and the garbage guy and the order taker and the person making a sub at Subway.
Yeah.
Right? So
and they're shocked. They're shocked, aren't they?
Right. Okay. So this guy owns this multi-million-dollar, sometimes often multi-billion-dollar company, and you would think he's really smart until he goes and receives his own product, and then he feels dumb.
Well, by then, isn't he far removed from his humble beginnings when it started? Or just got hired as a CEO and never knew? He's just so far removed at that point.
So the point is that going through the process and understanding what your buyer is going through is the most vital thing. You should do it in your business. You know, be a secret shopper in your own business. Or have your wife do it and you watch her go through the process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've done some of that.
Much.
I've done some of that in mine, like seeing what other people do. And I pretended to be somebody, say if I wanted, music lessons, my business, music lessons, what would I do? So I started Googling to see what was out there and what they would be seeing, like, oh boy. And then I adjusted what I did as best I could to that. But it's an eye-opener.
Okay.
So see what they see.
So as a copywriter, this is valuable information to me because now I can hit the points that indicate and I'm in the same reality as my buyer.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly, sorry about my throat this morning. I don't know what's going on. Too many webinars. Mostly, the buyer and myself will have something in common because we both agree that this is how it works. And once we have agreement and I'll build some sort of affinity in there, like you'll start to like me because I'm like, this guy sounds like he knows what he's talking about. Or I like what this guy is saying because I run into that myself. Because that affinity builds, you now have their attention and you can communicate more.
Right. They're listening more. They got to think at some point, gee, maybe this guy can help me, no?
Right.
And then they'll really start to listen, huh?
Right. So the point that I made this whole podcast on, and I have some really good stuff at the end, so hang tight, we're getting there. The point that I'm trying to make here is just having a conversation, going out and experiencing what the seller is experiencing, talking to the seller, going through their emotional ride with them, just discussing, why they don't like realtors, or why they're selling it for sale by owner, or how much do they really know about the cost to sell. You don't even have to know yourself, but just ask questions and just go out and be friendly. And study your seller first. Then it will make a whole lot more sense, our 229 podcast, why I say certain things. See, I have been teaching everybody with a missed gradient or a skipped gradient. Because I'm telling, just say this, what would have to happen for me to buy your house today? Well, if you go out and study the seller and do this 4, 5, 6, 10 times until you're comfortable that you got some concept of what's going on, you won't understand the importance of that sentence, because you won't understand what the seller's going through. A lot of us have not studied the sellers enough to know what we're doing. And if you understand what the seller's going through, then you can help them. The things that I talk about are the things that other gurus that you listen to or other books that you listen to start to make more sense. Right? So, here's a news flash. Ready?
Flash.
Your mind recognizes a problem a lot. Your mind recognizes a problem long before it recognizes the solution. And your mind is there to keep you alive. Your mind starts to catalog all these things, events, situations, and experiences it needs. And very quickly it works out what is irritating and kind of dangerous and what's really scary. Basically, in any given situation, your mind or your seller's mind does these 3 steps. Step 1, the mind sees change. Some change.
Yeah.
Something out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Step 2, it evaluates, right, based on other bad experiences that you may or may not have had, usually that you have had. Right? So in other words, something happened before and you remembered it. Okay? Because the mind is made to keep you alive. So it's storing the bad experiences so you don't do them again. So when you say I need to think about it, you're thinking, your mind only remembers the problems first. So when you say I need to think about it, you're jumping into the pool or using the mind, the part of the mind that stores all the problems. Right?
Makes sense.
So how good of a decision are you going to make when you say I need to think about it? Because you're really evaluating with all the past unresolved problems that you haven't solved. Right? So it evaluates based on other bad experiences if you're going to be in trouble or not. So the first step is there's a change. Then it evaluates if you're going to be in trouble or not.
Because it could be a good or bad change?
Yeah. Yeah, so if it's a bad thing or something that feels dangerous and you won't know that, it's like this subconscious feeling. You're like, I got this gut feeling I just shouldn't do this. Right?
Yeah.
Which brings us to step 3. It takes measure based on these evaluations. It makes a decision based on these evaluations. So if I was a little boy on a bicycle or in a bicycle accident, right? Now my mind would evaluate how would my mind evaluate anything to do with bicycles?
It would be through the lens of a bicycle accident, something bad.
Right? Remember, it sees problems before solutions. Which means our thinking more often than not reacts more strongly to what it deals with to be a problematic situation. I'm going to give that to you again because I read that wrong. Which means our thinking more often than not reacts more strongly on what it deems to be problematic. Or more clearly, when your mind or your seller's mind is faced with a problem versus a solution, the problem will get most of the attention. Pain and problems are a natural magnet for the human mind. And it gets the mind's attention first. And most dangerous, if it doesn't have obvious surrounding problems, the mind, it will invent those problems just because of the way the mind works. It needs a problem to solve. So if you don't give your mind a problem, it will find one, or it will invent one.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've all seen people who have really nothing to worry about, but they pick something. Jesus, you really got to worry about that? That's what you... Because they got nothing else. I've seen it. You've seen it. We've all seen it. They're like, Jesus, you make it... Jesus, just stop. And then you or I or someone else, whoever's looking, we got some real problems. Hey, you want some real problems? I'll give you a couple of mine. Stop worrying about things that aren't important. So that's... It looks for it, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I'm going to prove it right now.
Needs something to do, huh?
I'm going to prove it right now.
Yeah.
How many times have you seen a guy, a man, in a career do fairly well all his life and then retire and have nothing to do and then soon become sick?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's it right there.
Yeah.
If he had just another game to play, or if he had another problem to solve, or another way to make his mind work, it wouldn't have gone and looked for the illness.
Yeah.
Or try to survive. He was trying to survive. I got to go to the doctors. I got to get my heart checked. And I'm not, I mean, look, I'm not here to try to teach you about the mind. I've said it before in past podcasts. If you want to read about this stuff, you can go get, L. Ron Hubbard has books on it. Dianetics is the main book. You can get that. It's been a bestseller for, 70 years. Maxwell Maltz. Maxwell Maltz wrote a book called Cybernetics. Cybernetics.
Psycho-cybernetics?
Psycho-cybernetics. Thank you. Yeah, Psycho-cybernetics.
Right? I haven't read it. It sounds interesting, though.
It's an awesome book, right?
Huh.
These are good books. Right? These are good books to kind of get background. Now, I'm not telling you got to be like a psychologist or as Hubbard put it, an auditor, anything. I'm not telling you that. I just understand what I've just explained to you. The mind, pain, and problems are a natural magnet for any human mind to get the mind's attention first. Okay? So, we learn the most basic formula for the human mind is problems first, then solution. That's the sequence. Okay? So if we start learning all about the seller's solutions and never study the seller's problems, it is completely and absolutely out sequence.
I think I'm finally starting to get how you're presenting that, because of course problems come before solutions, like duh. But looking at it from the other perspective, if we're talking to a seller, trying to give them solutions like, well, I can do this with your house, I can give you this much, I can do that. How about if you take turns, I'll give you more money. All those things are giving them solutions, but you don't know really what his motivation is. I think I'm getting finally how this, wait, Bill, obviously you got to have a problem before your solution. Why would you solve a thing if you don't have the problem? But when we're in the middle of the real estate thing, we start going, hey, mister, I can buy your house, I can do this, I can do that, I can do this, give you more money, blah, 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 all this stuff in the scripts. And the guy's listening on the phone like, you're missing me, buddy, you're missing me. And I swear to God, I had a conversation a week ago, I think I told you, I might not have. Somebody called me trying to help me with stuff, and I've said, right off the bat, like, I haven't been taking your calls? You're totally missing. Your marketing is completely off. You don't know what I even want, and you're telling me what I should be doing. You're so off. And they went, oh, thank you so much. That finally somebody telling me the truth. They were happy. And I'm telling them, like, I'm almost ripping their face off. I'm very polite. Look, you're totally missing me. You're not getting me. Don't call me until you ask me what I need. Call me later. And it's like, oh my God. So I think I get what you're saying now. We start blah, 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 blah. And we don't even know why we're saying those things until we really know what's going on in their head.
Or why it's so hard for you to learn. Why don't you grasp the 7 strategies easily? Well, because you haven't been a seller in that position, or you've not experienced what the seller's experiencing, and you'll take my sentences and change them because you don't like them. Well, maybe you aren't having the same problem the sellers. Let's take subject 2. Why would somebody give us the deed to their house and let the mortgage stay in their name for the next 20 years?
Oh, I don't know. I would never do that. Right?
See my point?
Yeah, I would never do that.
Right? And I had a piece of property one time, a commercial piece of property that I was losing, and I was willing to do anything to take the pressure off me. In fact, I did do that. It was my gas station. I did do that, and it cost me $40,000 in a mistake with a realtor. Because I was so not desperate, so motivated to make this solution work that I wasn't thinking, and I did some stupid shit.
Yeah.
Right. So,
well, in a sense, it could be the lesser of 2 evils. I mean, if somebody isn't completely comfortable with it, that's nice. But if he doesn't, he'll be in bigger trouble.
Right.
So at least you're mitigating or reducing the problem and making it somewhat helpful.
So how could you get into this business? And I'm talking about the pretty house business because I've announced multiple times that if you just want to buy ugly houses, go on the MLS, make your mathematical offer. I'll give you $60,000 for a $180,000 house. Take it or leave it. I'll go up to 65. You do that negotiation. That's a whole different world. I'm talking about pretty houses, talking to sellers, and wondering if they're going to let you make monthly payments until you can pay them off, or some sort of a discount so you can go get either do a land contract or a private money deal or wraparound mortgage, owner finance. That's where all this. But you're not, if you don't understand the person's problem, how do you match the message to the media? So if I'm talking to somebody, which is the gradient, shame on me for taking so long to realizing this. The reason why I'm having trouble teaching this is because if the student, the investor student, has never seen a farm tractor, how am I going to teach them about farm tractors? It's lack of mass. It's lack of seeing one. So how am I going to teach you about it if you've never seen one? And I'm not going to tell you how I came to this podcast, but this has recently happened. One of the things that I've been talking about in the coaching group is I rattle off last Monday or the Monday night before how many people on the coaching call have not experienced talking to or have seen a motivated seller. And when I'm coaching people, that's a turning point for them. Once they've seen or touched or heard or observed or been through a motivated seller, I mean, I have to be rude, Peter. There's no way to explain this so explicitly, and I get tickets that I'm being sexist, but I don't care because it says it. This is like having sex for the first time. You never forget it. It's an experience that I could explain. Everybody in the world can explain it to you. You can go. God knows you can go on the internet and watch people do it.
Yeah.
Until you have done it yourself, you will not know the feelings and the intimacy and all the things around the act. It's the same way with a motivated seller. Until you've seen one and actually been through it and had that experience, you don't get all the emotions and all the things connected to it. And when that happens, your career takes off from that point.
And it's not like you haven't told us to do this before either.
I'm changing my philosophy, my words to explain it. My philosophy is the same, but the words.
Yeah. Well, maybe you're emphasizing it more, but you have told us in your defense. It's not completely your fault. You have told us.
Right.
Go in a house. Talk to somebody.
Which brings me to the solution to this problem we have been chatting about when it comes to learning how to make offers and get deals. If you flipped your theory of, and that word was intended to be a joke, if you flipped your theory of how to learn real estate investing around to this, it will change. Go out and start finding sellers who will show their house to you, and have a very slight chance that they will want to get top dollar for their house in 30 days or less. They don't want that. Let me read that again, because I'm reading my own writing and it's not so good. So you want to go out there and you want to talk to a seller that might have a slight chance of not wanting to get top dollar within the next 30 days. That's all you're going to qualify. I think I can go talk to this person. Or they might be motivated to listen to you. If you feel like they have any motivation, what will happen, the first thing will happen is they'll be motivated to get their price. You know, they'll sound really motivated until you get to the house and they're like, oh no, I want my $198,000 and I want to close and I want to do it before Christmas. But that's part of the experience. So now next time you're on the phone, you do that, which is how I learned it. You do that 2 or 3 times. You rearrange your whole schedule to go out and look at a house, and you're there 5 minutes, and they're like, oh no, I don't want to do any of that.
Yeah.
It will change how you talk on the phone.
You'll be a little more careful, won't you?
Yes.
Ask a few more questions.
So go out there and visit people ASAP. Study. And when I mean study them, I mean observe their emotions, their responses to you. Right? Get their emotions. What mood are they in? Are they grumpy? Are they happy? Are they antagonistic? Are they in apathy? Where are they? Right? Listen to their responses to you. Is there a lag in the response? When you ask a question, is there silence? Are they thinking about it? Or are they quick with their response? And is their response a canned response that they've given 10 other people before you that same response? Right? What's their devastation? What's really what keeps them awake at night? What's the core thing that has gotten them up off the couch? Dan Kennedy used to say, it's a gross analogy, but back in the day, this is 20 years ago, used to say that when you send a piece of direct mail, you need to get that 500 or 600 pound guy that's on the couch eating his potato chips, watching a football game. He needs to be able to read your letter and get up off the couch, go get his wallet, fill out the form, and put it back in the mailbox. That's how motivating you have to be in your copy.
Yeah.
Right? Now, it's a bad analogy. I mean, you shouldn't talk about a 600-pound guy, but it paints a picture. Right? This is the same way with you. Right? What you need to know is what did they read in that sales letter that made them get up off the couch, get their wallet, fill out the registration, fill out the sales form, and walk out to the mailbox and put it back together in a snowstorm.
Yeah.
In other words, something happened in their life that they had to sell this house, because when they decided to sell this house, this is getting up off the couch, this is getting their wallet, this is filling out the form, this is walking through the snow and putting it in the mailbox. Whatever the problem is, it had that many repercussions to it that they're willing to go through that to get this house out of their hands. What is that?
Yeah.
Because when they made the decision to sell the house, it wasn't a willy-nilly decision. It has a whole set of sequences that are going to disturb their life. before it's over? And why are they willing to go through those disturbances before it's over? What pain is on the other side that's more than that pain? Right? And don't tell me it's just because they want to get their profit, because they're going to make $100,000. Because that's bullcrap. Because they have the $100,000 made already. It's in the house. What do they need the $100,000 in cash for? What problem is that going to try to solve?
Now, does it have to be complex, or can it be fairly simple? Can it be like a whole range of things?
It could be all the above. The point is,
I think I've seen that.
The point is just like Undercover Boss, you need to go into the houses and observe and study these people and find out what is their motivation. Just by talking to them. Don't try to buy the house. And most important, not only what this situation is, but how have they and how will they, or how have they been trying to resolve this problem? What thought process have they been going through based on their experience and their past failures and their past successes, right? What are they going through? And study that. And now I'm not saying you need to do this. This is like a month project, or not even. You could go out and do this in 4 or 5 sellers, maybe.
Yeah.
But you need to get the concept. You need to see the farm tractor before you decide you want to study farm tractors. Because if you don't know what a farm tractor looks like, well, by God, you're never going to be able to do anything with farm tractors, right? So watch how they handle your responses. Then next thing you want to do is watch how they handle their affairs.
Really?
How do they pay their mortgage? Are they all worried about their credit? Or are they a little bit lazy with it? How about the basement that's been full of junk down there for 2 years? How do they handle that? Or is the house really clean and really neat? How about the broken dishwasher that's been broken for 1.5 years and they haven't gotten around to it?
Oh boy.
Why is that? Do they have money problems, or are they lazy, or what kind of personality do they have? Get a real good idea on how the sellers think and how they try to solve their problems just by observing. This is not hard. We're human beings. We do this every single day already. And all the other things we do in life, we do this. We size up our friends, our family, our parents, our siblings, all based on what I'm telling you right now. This is how we size them up. How many people listening to us right now have a sibling, a brother or a sister, that are like, yeah, they don't get it? Right? Because they're not in agreement with what you think. But they're surviving, they're doing their whatever. Even if the brother or sister is a drug addict, there's a reason why they take drugs. There's something they can't confront, and they're trying to hide from it. What is it? Right? Get a good idea of how they think and how they solve their problems. And it's all in the name of educating yourself on these creatures called sellers. And do not do any of this in the name of making a deal. Do not do this in the name of trying to make money or trying to change your life. Right? Just do this selfishly for yourself. And then we're getting there. I'm almost there, because I have an add-on to all this that is so simple. It's so easy, so simple. It's going to blow you away. And I have never heard anybody talk about this before. And I'm going to start talking about it a lot more. And I'm going to start getting my students to do this. And I am going to have the most success with my coaching clients because of today's podcast. Guaranteed.
Wow. Sounds good, Bill.
Right?
Hey, Bill, I'm listening.
Yeah. all in the name of educating yourself on the creatures called sellers and not the name of making money or making a deal. It's the ultimate reluctant buyer mode you can create, right? And many cases will cause the seller to chase you and give you offers if you try not to buy the house. Now, I'm not saying that you do this your entire career, but in the beginning, this is what will happen. We all know that the more you chase your sellers, the faster they run. It's the other way around. The more your seller chases you, the faster you run. Because you don't know how to do a deal yet. So you're running, and they don't know that. Or you told them, I don't know how to do a deal yet, and you're running. And the more they'll chase you. It goes the other way, too. Okay? But in final, I want to share something with you that is extremely unique to being on Bill's planet. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to approach this visit as if it was a customer service call.
That's funny.
When you assist sellers with getting them what they want, no different than when you call your cell phone service with a problem, you'll soon realize this. If you do this so well, the customer service aspect of it, if you do it so well, sellers can't resist telling others about you. Now, I'm not talking about buying a house at all. I'm just talking about going in there and talking to them about buying the house and what they're going through and why they decided to sell the house, and just being observant on their feelings and their emotions and their problem solving. Just talking to them. And it's not like some psychology session or something like that, but you could relate it to that. You're counseling them in a way. Right? By just talking to them.
I can imagine that some sellers don't really have anybody to talk to. Maybe their spouse, right? And they got all this on their head, and they're blowing up in their head a little bit. And if you could actually go and just listen.
Right.
I mean, I've had people just say, oh, you're such a good listener or such a good talker. And I didn't say a word. I just said,
Yeah.
I can just imagine that they would feel better.
Right.
And open up. That's pretty crazy.
Right? Isn't it? It's so simple.
No, I like the analogy. The customer service, you know, because it is customer service.
And I would argue, Peter, that this is the most basic and simple way to get started and grow bigger and bigger and bigger. It's actually the ultimate equalizer. You really don't have to be talented in real estate at all when you do this. You don't even need to give an offer when you do this. Just observe and learn from these sellers. If these sellers feel helped and handled in such a way that they couldn't even think about doing the deal without you, they'll minimally brag about you with their friends, family, coworkers, and even complete strangers if you do this correctly. What a way to build a business. In fact, if you take what I'm saying here right now, this is the best technique ever invented in real estate investing education. The reason why is it needs no fancy one-liners, no magical closes, or special training. Anyone can do it, Peter. Anyone can do this.
So wait a minute now. So we go to the house, we talk to the person, and if you don't do those all their offers, how would the conversation end? Where would you leave off on it?
You could easily say, well, you know what? I have a mentor that's been teaching me. I'm gonna go send him a support ticket. I'm gonna find out what I can do for you.
Okay.
Or I got to go home and talk to my wife about this, and I've never done a deal like this, but I think we could figure it out. And as long as you're willing to wait for me, we're going to do something.
Okay. Good. Just
Right.
need an exit, thanks. Yeah.
I'm in a group of people called the Real Estate Investment Association, AREA, and I know there's people in there that would want this house. I'm going to go find them and see if I can bring them here and see if I can get them to buy it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm going to post your house on Facebook and see if I can find a buyer. Will you let me do that? I just made an offer agreement. I'm sorry, I just made it. I made an offer for an option agreement is what I meant to say.
Right.
So I'm going to do that again, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying, how do you end off? It'd be like, I'd like to take some pictures of your house and post it on Facebook and see if I can find a buyer. Will you let me do that?
Yeah.
That's an offer.
Mm.
That's an offer for an option agreement deal.
Mm-hmm. Of any type, any kind of option, wherever it takes you. Mm-hmm. And the few offers that start with an option.
So let me ask you this question, Peter.
Yes.
The student leaves the house in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
What problems is he posing his mind now?
The student is what he's going to be thinking to himself.
What problems is he going to be posing himself and trying to solve now? So it's problems and then solution. So now he's got a problem. What's the problem? I have this guy that's willing to let me put his house on Facebook and do an option agreement with me. What do I do next?
Yeah.
Now, what happens when that student goes and reads one of my books or watches one of my videos or listens to one of our podcasts? Is that lesson going to stick with that student now?
Well, what happens is 2, 3, or 4 points in the book, the podcast, whatever he's looking at, will seem like it fits exactly what he's looking at. Like, oh, that fits. Oh, I can use that. Because it goes someplace. It attaches to something. The little puzzle pieces have a corner to attach to.
You want to know why? Because they have to take that information and go present it to the seller. So it's not them that's learning it now. They now have to educate someone else, which is the seller.
Yeah.
And they have to explain it to them. So now when they learn this strategy because they've got this deal, they will be more susceptible to learning the steps and paying more attention and not drifting off.
Yeah, it's gone out of the realm of theoretical into practicality time here.
Yeah,
I
have to do this.
Rubber hits the road. Put up or shut up, etc.
And here's the thing, you haven't even spent a dime on your education yet.
Mm-hmm.
All you did was go study the seller, observe the seller, talk to a seller, and get a concept of what they're going through. And then you went and found something to match, message to match, right? Mm-hmm. You went and found something that matched their problem as a solution. Mm. It's freaking genius.
It's hard to study a subject just as a subject. Like you're in school studying physics. Like, who cares? But as soon as you need to apply some of that,
okay, so let's take mathematics.
Yeah.
The way you learned mathematics was two-dimensionally. In other words, it was you and a piece of paper and a pencil. Two dimensions. So the paper and pencil is one dimension, you're another dimension. You write 2 + 2 = 4. You don't understand it. So you take 2 lines and draw 2 lines, and then on one side of the plus thing, and then on the other side you draw 2 lines and you count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh yeah. But you had to write it out or demonstrate it to get it.
Yeah. You had to see it for real.
So what I'm telling you to do is I'm telling you to demonstrate Go watch no, that's not what I'm telling you. I'm telling you to go watch the demonstration of a seller and their problems. And then the solutions will become more real to you because now you know what the problems are. You're not just sitting at your desk watching. How many times have we been told in our seminars, webinars now, and all of our training, right? I get support tickets and I get testimonials that say there were things that people talked about that were at different levels of investing. They talked about, I had no idea those problems even existed. I've never run into that. You don't know what you don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right?
Yep. Yep.
Last night, we did my deal hunting monthly mastery call, and it got into a conversation about VAs. And there were some people on there that have VAs and run them. I have a student on there that his VA works for me now. Then there were people on there that didn't even know that a VA would work for $4 to $6 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Which, by the way, I don't know what your plans are, and I know you usually work on a Monday night, but this coming Monday, we're actually going to have the VA as a guest speaker.
No kidding.
So my coaching students can actually see and feel and and do everything I'm telling you about VAs.
Yeah, because we don't believe there really are VAs. You just talk about them. They're not real.
Or more importantly, talk to them and find out what they're going through when they make these phone calls, the problems they run into, and what happens, and how do they get us, how do you train somebody like that if you don't know what they are?
Yeah, because that doesn't always work for some people. VAs are not just, you just hire them for $4 or $5 and everything works out perfectly. No,
you got to train them.
No. Yeah, so that's a great idea to see what they really go through and what they're thinking. Right. What do they need? What's going on? Why are they doing it? How do you help them do the job so they do the job?
Yep. So by doing this customer service type of approach, damn, it makes sellers only want to deal with you even if you have never gotten within 3,000 miles of a deal.
Yeah.
Let alone your first one. You may not be able to beat, now watch this, Peter, this is the punchline. You may not be able to beat other people's prices, other buyers' prices. You may not be able to beat my experience or other people like me's experience. You may not have enough knowledge. You may not be able to beat guarantees of closing deals because you don't know how you're going to close them. Or even money, for that fact. You may not even be able to have the money or be able to pull the deal off. You may not be able to beat any of those. Mm-hmm. But you can always beat them on customer service and kindness. You trump all those other things by using this customer service approach. Just by doing customer service. Because I can't tell you how many deals I have done where they have an offer bigger than mine and they take my offer.
I was going to say, I've talked to you when I haven't even been in the house, but you tell me how it's going with a certain thing. And he goes, the seller has had other people, but he calls you back and he says, I have confidence in you, or I trust you, in so many words. He goes, because they need to know that you're in there pitching for them and you can actually do it. And you may be the only person that really understands them.
Because of this customer service approach that I'm talking about.
Yeah,
and I've
crazy.
Studied so many, and I didn't do what I'm telling you to do. I did it the hard way. Because here's the thing. We talk about scripts, right? Scripts are organized words that will give persuasive answers to get somebody to look at something differently. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Yeah.
So would it make sense that you practice those scripts with a seller that might give you $30,000 and see if it works? Or would it make sense to practice those scripts on somebody in your house that is never going to sell you a house? So if you made a mistake, it wouldn't really matter.
Well, can we do a few in the house first and then go out?
See what I mean? So the point is you don't want to practice your scripts and practice what you want to do on your best sellers, where you can make the most amount of money.
Yeah.
You know, movie stars don't go on the screen and practice their scripts. They go on the scene for the final cut. Right?
Right. And only a few people can do improv.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You can. You can. Robin Williams did, other people, but you can, but not us. No.
Thank you.
That's okay. Yeah.
So the point is that if you go, you have to go study. Don't try to buy the house. You're not trying to buy the house. Just go study these people and get some of your scripts and practice some of the lines, and with people that probably aren't going to sell you the house.
Mm.
And you'll find one by accident, right? But you'll always beat everybody else's offer and everybody else there if you give them extreme customer service. If you're walking the walk with them and they feel like you're a partner in this pain, then you'll get their attention. Just remember this, Peter. Just remember this. This is kind of the punchline.
Mm-hmm.
All sellers have problems, sorrows, and worry of their own, which often you're not aware of.
Mm.
Most have had bad days and lots of disappointments. All you need to do is make sure that the time they're with you is a high spot in their day.
Mm-hmm.
And that will get their attention, and they'll open up and tell you things no other investor will ever know, never mind even be able to help the seller with. And that all comes from you. You already have it. You can already do this. As long as you're not pretending, because you can't pretend, right? No acting. Be sincere. You can't be faking it, right? Be faking being nice until you make it. You can't do that. It has to be sincere from the heart and extremely truthful. I've never done this before. This is my first time. Can you help me with that? I've never had anybody with this type of a problem. I don't know what to do. I got to go check with my mentor. Do you mind so we can help you better?
Mm.
Just tell them the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So what? You're in a house to get an education. You're not there to buy the house. You're not there to make $30,000. You're just there to get an education. But if a deal falls, all of a sudden you'll be like, you know what? Maybe there is a deal here. I should go try to get this. Maybe one fell in my lap. Oh my God.
Oh, it happens. Mine did.
Right?
My first one did. It was bizarre.
And you'll always need to be the most ethical person in the room. Checking your problems and your disappointment at the front door when you walk in the seller's property is a must. This is the neediness I talk about. Like I have a coaching client that took a loan and the loan is coming due and he's all desperate to make a deal to pay the loan. He's not going to do a deal. It's got too much neediness on there. He's not checking when he's in the house. He's looking for the sweat and the grind off of the seller's back to pay his bill and solve his problem. If you were fighting with your wife, Peter, right, which I know you don't do, but if you were fighting with your wife, how much advice could I really give you? Why would I want to get in the middle of that fight? If I can stay back at the peripheral and just make, not make you happy, but help you with whatever you need, that's fine. But I'm not going to change the conversation between you and your wife. So you shouldn't try to do that with your seller. Their problems are their problems. Their sorrows are their sorrows. If you can help them relieve themselves of this house and solve that problem, then you should do it. So it comes down to not one excuse of why you're not doing deals. It's all you. Look at it. Go visit sellers. Observe. Learn. Give exceptional customer service. Use your energy and time without asking for anything in return except to learn. And maybe, just maybe, you'll make it long enough to figure out your weaknesses and your strengths, and keep pushing your strengths and get focused on the weaknesses with proper help, and before you know it, you'll be getting big checks to deposit. That's all I have to say. That was from my heart, man.
I can tell. I don't know how you spoke to us today, but I don't mind talking to people, but in houses it's a little scarier because personally I've done it a little bit. I do it more with you, but whatever you did today made me feel more like not getting things figured out in advance and the offer figured out and how much, but just like, hey, let me just go talk to someone. It made me feel more like doing it, so that's a plus.
Look what Desiree says. There are ones that need our help. She's talking about sellers.
Yep.
And then the next post she puts, I think we forget that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, we get into this business because we want to make money. Let's be honest. We don't do it to be a philanthropist. We go down soup kitchen if you wanted to do that. But you find out quickly that the only way you can make money is to actually help somebody. So we have to shift that mindset. And when you do that, it should work pretty well.
So money, motivation, or money-motivated people don't last long in this business.
Mm-hmm.
They ride the waves with the economic turns.
Mm-hmm. When the market is great, it's easy, right?
Yep. Well, the market allows them to do things that they normally couldn't do on their own.
Mm-hmm.
They think they're clever because they're a real estate investor when really the market is boasting them up.
Yeah.
Right? Help and duty are much higher than money.
Mm.
They're more satisfying, they're more sincere, and when you do it, the money follows.
Yeah. If you're going to go to a doctor, would you rather go to a doctor who really likes helping people, or he's in it for the money? I mean, that would be gross, wouldn't it?
Yeah. A lawyer is that way. That's a better example. You have lawyers that are just like slicksters, and they're just about the money. Or there's lawyers that will sit down like my lawyer. My lawyer will, I call him up, he never charges me for the time. Sometimes I talk to my lawyer for 45 minutes on the phone. We talk about all kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Doesn't charge me.
Yeah.
But when we get to closing, and I think it's going to be $800 and he charges me $900, I don't say a word.
Yeah.
You know, I let him make his money because he's always there when I need him. When I call him, he's always there. He's on the phone. He's there to give me an answer. I mean, I've been bitching about him lately because he's busy and, but, I have to, that's why I stick with him because it's like he's making his money. He said to me, I need to make money. He said, he's got 5 kids. I need to make money, he goes. COVID kicked my ass. So there was a couple months where he didn't do no closing. So basically, I had to sit back and I had to say to myself, Bill, what's going on here? Oh, ding, the light went off. He's got to make 12 months pay in 10 months or 9 months. Like a whole lot of the rest of us that are doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Because the country was shut down for at least 3 months, 2 or 3 months. So we're all hustling, trying to make 12 months pay in 9 or 10 months. And wondering how we're doing that. Some of us are getting smarter, some of us are sinking. Mm-hmm. Right? Just how it is.
Yeah.
So
Well,
why is 2021 going to be a good year? Because we're going to have 12 months to work. It's going to be better than this year.
Yeah.
We got 12 months to do it.
But we've all learned things,
Yeah.
that we can use with our usual successful things, plus these additional online different platforms. I'm home. You're home. We're still on a podcast together. People are home watching this. You do meetups online. I don't know how we're doing the Christmas party this year, but
Yeah, there isn't going to be one. That's how.
yeah. So, but yeah, we're all learning extra skills because we had problems that we had to find solutions for, and we'll keep those solutions moving forward, combined with the past solutions when we can re-implement those. So we'll be hopefully better off because of this challenge that we learn more from. It's painful. Nobody likes it, but we have to make the most of it, or we lose. What else have you got?
Remember, please. This is my parting words, and then we're going to go. Remember this: the mind is a magnet for problems. It sees problems way before it sees solutions. So, remember I told you a long time ago, when it's time for me to make a decision, here's the problem, and I think, what's the first solution? And it's the worst solution ever, right? And then I'd say, what other way can I solve that problem? And then I solve that problem another way. And when I get to the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th solution is when they start getting good. They're real solutions at that point, because the mind sees the problem first. So my first solution has problems in it. My second solution still has problems. It's probably going to be 6 or 7 solutions down the road before I get a solution without problems in it. Because the way the mind works.
Yeah.
So
I remember you saying that.
Your seller is going through that when you're trying to propose to them, oh, I'll give you $1,500 a month. All the problems come up first, not the solutions. Well, what if you don't pay? What if they damage the house? What if?
What if?
All the problems come up first. So you're trying to shove solutions down their throat instead of just empathizing with them. So what if they don't pay? What's the worst that can happen? You get the house back?
Yeah.
See, one of the things that I was trying to explain last week is when you're going through a presentation, a sales presentation, you want to know the problem, so you bring up the problem and then the solution. And then if you just keep talking about the solution and never bring up the problem again, they won't buy. So you have to bring up the problem again. Remind them of the problem and the solution. And remind them of the problem and the solution. Remind them of the problem and the solution. It's a roller coaster, right? They dip down and they forgot about the problem. Oh, bring up the problem again, and then bring up the solution, and like.
Because if you don't, they'll think of it later.
Or they
why
won't
bring
make,
it up?
They won't
why
make
would I
it,
bring it up? They're not talking about it, but it's still there. And what
they
else?
They won't make the decision because the sequence is not completed. Like, for example, I'm on January 2nd, 2021, I am doing a subject to 6-hour class. It's going to be 6 hours. Okay? It's all virtual.
Okay.
And unless you're on my email list, you don't know about it. In fact, I was on the meetup on the Deal Hunting Monthly Mastery, and I had a girl from Israel on there, and she was complaining to me about how she can't find things on my website. I'm like, no, all the courses are right here. What you're complaining about is the only place I do certain things, like I do special lessons. I arbitrarily pick nights, like Friday night before I go to the smoke shop. On a Monday, I'll send an email out and say, I'm going to do a conference call from 4:30 till 5:30 for anybody who wants to talk about real estate. What's your problems? I'll get on the phone with you. A group call. Or I'll do FaceTime. I do these random things that you don't know about if you're just listening to the podcast. If you're not on my email list, you don't know it. Because that's how I communicate. Like Desiree's asking about these books I want to sell. I'm going to tell you right now, these books are going to be hundreds of dollars. But they're going to be my hat write-ups on how I do things. They're my legacy. I'm writing these books because they say you need an avatar. You know who my avatar is? Max, my 2.5-year-old grandson. I'm going to be writing these books, explaining to Max what to do in 20 years from now when it's time for him to buy houses.
Oh, you
or
kidding?
10
That's
years
amazing.
from now.
That's amazing.
What else can I do? He's my avatar.
Mm-hmm.
All right? But you're not going to find those books in a bookstore. You're going to have to be on my email list or know where my hidden page is, because you have to be in the right sequence to read these books. These are not going to be books for beginners. You have to be on Bill's planet. You have to understand what my world is all about, and then you can learn how to do this. And that's how it will be best for you, not for me, for you. I mean, I've talked about what we just talked about today for an hour and 30 minutes and 14 seconds. I've explained this probably dozens of times in other podcasts. But you got it today, Peter.
Mm-hmm.
You got it today.
Mm-hmm.
And so do many others.
I think that's because you got it.
Okay. It's possible. Totally possible. All right, good. So I'm going to end off. Thank you, everybody, for all the support you give us. Thank you for the support tickets. Thank you for the feedback. Another thing that I do a lot of is I do a 45-minute free consultation. So I'll send emails on that. So if you're on my email list a couple times a month, I'll send an email out and offer you a free consultation. So if you want to talk to me one-on-one on the phone, you can do that. All kinds of things happen on that email list. I send an email almost every day, usually 5 days a week. Some days, sometimes 4, but usually 5 days a week. And they're usually informative. Sometimes I have to, I'm trying to get the meetup, the monthly meetup attendance up or something like that. But most of the time they're informative. Make sure you go like us wherever you're listening to us or watching us now. Make sure you go in the description and click on the link and go get our free stuff, which, by the way, that's how you get on our email list, is just go on the free stuff page and just download something and you're on our email list. So just go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/free stuff. Pick anything. Pick one form, the prospect suspect form, watch a video, whatever, put your name and email list, name and email in there, and you're on my list. And that's how you do it. And there you go. There's a free course on there that shows all my 7 deals. It's called, I always named it, and I never remember what it is. It's called, let me find it. I think it's called Creative Real Estate Deal Making 101. So just go on there, you put your information in there, and I walk you through all the deals and teach you all about it for 100% for free. So it's just go to flippinghousesforrookies.com. It's on the front page. Okay? Peter, thank you for being with me for 230 shows, and we will chat with you guys next week. 9:30 Thursday morning, Eastern Standard Time. Facebook, YouTube. We're on Twitter too, but I don't know much about Twitter. Or just listen to us on your favorite podcast platform on Mondays. That's when the recording gets uploaded. Okay? Over and out. Have a good week.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.